When the news don't speak for the people speak for the news. Thus, developing stories on the promised land of the Garden City.
I think the Okahanja situation has been there. It's not only specific to Okahanja.
We are challenging the management and the town council of Okahanja to give us an alternative solution regarding the land. The land question cannot be continued to be delayed. This question has been delayed. This is a historical situation. We cannot be born without land and die without land.
The ongoing march to the promised land in Okahanja has its roots historically Catholic, prior to the Herero-Nama genocide war from 1904 to 1908. And the national liberation struggle for freedom and independence was intrinsically linked to the land.
30 years, you're promised land every year during elections. You'll get land, you'll get this, and then after elections, nothing happens. People are becoming smart.
So we're going to continue grabbing 1 hectare of piece of land every month, and then we're going to redistribute it to the community, to the masses. So that thing will continue until the town council of Okahanja will come and sit and address the land issue. We cannot continue like this. We cannot be allowing 30 years post-independent, we don't have a piece of land. We are going to strive to bring back the dignity to our people.
The generation that was kind of obliged to listen and to adhere and carry out orders from parties, from political parties, I think they're phasing out. This is a new group of young people. They've been told that they had land. They went to school. They know exactly what to do, how to get the land. If they're ignored, what to do, because they've got no political obligation to anybody. They are not told if you don't do this, then you are going to be disciplined by the rankings of the political structures. They're individuals. They are people that really want to settle, that want to have their own piece of land.
After 30 years of Imperial German colonialism and 75 years of South African apartheid rule, the replacing ruling elite's entry from exile was greeted by kissing the ground. And the question has ever been, which land and whose land was looted and confiscated?
The very first thing that the founding fathers of this country, after they returned from exile, when the ruling party returned from the exile, the first thing they did is to kiss the land, because the land is what we all fought for. After they kissed the land, they failed. They didn't fail. This manifests us. They didn't deliver the land. The very same land that they kissed, the very first thing they did, we are suffering today to get the land. Hence we are saying this, we'll continue grabbing the land. And I'm also encouraging those ones in the other regions, start taking the land.
Generations of those who suffer the brunt and rough of mass torture, rape and impunities of destitution and landlessness, and hundreds and thousands of curious deaths across the board have carved their own promised land one.
In our vocabulary, there is nothing written like waiting list. Waiting list is a thing of the past. Now we continue grabbing the land. In fact, we continue grabbing the land, but we're gonna do it in an orderly way. We are established organization, we are registered, and we are gonna do it in an orderly way. We are, at least today, we demonstrate that we got the attention of the minister himself.
Them and millions of the oppressed Namibians, what divides the people today is who owns the land, and the unfair redistribution as well as the manipulating tactics being politicized. Failure to manage diversities by the national liberators in the land reform, amongst other issues of entitlement, nepotism, blazing corruption, and tribalism has become multiple
Get
sores.
settled. You are somewhere deep in the south. You have somebody from the north resettled. How do you balance this thing? And the people from the south don't have land. How do you sidestep that reality with what your political agenda is telling you to do? How do I justify that across the red line, no one else has got land? It's communal land anyway. But then you cannot get land as a guy from somewhere deep in the south. You say, I want the land there, near Oshikuku there, that village there, I want the land there. It's impossible.
The manifestations and taking the bull by the horn, so to say, is unpacking the emotive anger, cries of lamentations, and the dire situations of living in gross injustice, disrespect, and wanton abuse. On their promised land journey, the other voices, the Landless People's Movement and the Popular Democratic Movement, are shouldering on the march. They are not going to be cajoled, intimidated, wished, or washed away.
We have heard from your leaders what your challenges are. I'm not so sure entirely about the layout of the plan, but I'm told this area is the land that you have identified. And this is the area that you want at least to occupy, I'm told. There is nothing called illegal land grab.
And until the politicians really realize that what they've been doing is messed up the people's minds, flirting with their frustrations and all of these things, people will respond. And Okahanja is just but the start. We've seen a lot of that happening in Windhoek and all of those things, but again, the Windhoek was more like political toy. People want to make statements around their issues, their political ambitions, their whatever thing. But with the Okahanjas, people want land. That's fixed. There's nothing political about that. There's nothing economical about that. People just want to have land.
We are in the War Council. We are fighting poverty. This committee is fighting poverty and the landlessness in Namibia. This is what we are busy. When we say we are busy, we mean we are busy on the ground. Administrative-wise, we are ready. We are capturing everything. So you need to register yourself. As you can see, we are prepared for the war against landlessness.
The Okahanja laboratory events will attest whether the incumbent leadership is still playing the touch and go policies and politics on land reform, one that has angered those whose forebears were the receiving end. They are angry and hungry because they have watched in 3 decades the national liberators, their new elites and surrogates, amass natural resources and loot the national treasury with their tenderpreneur accomplices, local and orient.
We cannot allow Chinese to own land in Okahanja. We cannot allow a Chinese businessman to own a riverbed in Okahanja, to do sand mining in the same sand that with his mining he's selling us the bricks. So in order for us to build our own houses, we have to buy our own land. We cannot allow that. We need the land now. The land question is now.
The scramble over land is currently unfolding between the socially vulnerable and the new elite in government. Their surrogates and their international investors frequently benefiting at astronomical proportions at the expense of the marginalized and those living in penury, squalor, and matchbox houses. The people of Okahanja, they know their history under Imperial Germany and racist South Africa. They remember the violent land theft. That is why they are assertively on a march of no return to the promised land. To them, the current redistribution of land in Namibia is a constant reminder that colonialism has not ended despite independence, because the incumbent continues to exhibit cosmetic reforms and selected practices and tendencies, thus betraying the trust of the masses. They can now afford a smile at the crumbs and handouts and the ongoing ear-onto-the-ground presence of the national and regional representatives. However, many are saying this gesture and attention is too little, too late. The emotions, aspirations, and plans being expressed at the Okahanja Land Consciousness Nazareth sends out clean, clear-cut messages of unflinching poise. The promised land has come with a full package.
The council I have given 400, add to that. Buy them 50 kg maize meal, buy them sacred work, 12.5 sugar, tea, coffee, every basic need.
Dis hoe hulle lewe hier. Dis hoe dringend nodig ons die land het. Wat ons nie gegee word, te kikoletjie dag.
Their encouraging tenacity is the exciting influence of the other voices and hundreds and thousands of the oppressed people. Land is not merely a pertinent economic determinant to their identity, dignity. It is equally an ancestral reconnect which must shape and mold future generations.
We all know that we've got that relationship with the village. We've got a relationship with where our parents, our forefathers come from. And a lot of times the place where these forefathers come from have been taken away from the people and given to totally different, totally strangers. That you ask yourself, how did you get land here? Because I'm also looking for land, but I did not get the land. And I'm from here. How do you feel getting land somewhere where you actually have got no roots, you've got no relations, you've got nobody that you know around there, yet you get resettled there? When you go come December, when there is weddings, when there is funerals, you leave, you go to where you actually come from. And then you come back afterwards and say, this is my land. I think the land issue is going to be a serious problem.
Reconciliation, reparation, and social justice, and taking back what is rightfully theirs, is a panacea to solving managing diversities, a department that the national liberators have more red ink than blue on their National Progress Report card. Land, a piece of land, or let me say a piece of land where they can build a place called home, is just the departure tarmac.
Kanye thing is just one of the issues that will be more frequent, I think. People are going to be more angrier because they want land. They want they don't want land just for their own, for residential, yes, that's a Kanye area, but they also want land to farm, to go back to.
There's only two places to go if you grab the land. Either you go to prison or either you die. You die and you'll be buried at the same land. So let's continue encourage us to grab the land in an orderly manner. Register yourself, get yourself a committee, and then we push the agenda of giving the land back to them. Because if those ones that we elect fail to deliver the land, who's going to deliver the land? Us, me and you. So let's stand up today and let's start now.